We're always told to trust the numbers, right? But what happens if the official data we all rely on is, well, telling a pretty misleading story? Today, we're diving into a document that makes that exact, pretty bold claim.
So, the whole thing really kicks off with this one big question. It's pushing us, you and me, to really ask, are the statistics we see on the news actually giving us the full picture? Let's dig in and see what the argument is.
Okay, so first things first. The source basically challenges the entire idea that government statistics are these, untouchable, rock-solid facts. It argues that right from the very beginning, these numbers have flaws kind of baked right into them. And this quote, this really gets to the absolute heart of the argument. The idea is that the moment you try to boil down our super messy, complicated reality into one single, neat number, you've already started losing part of the truth. Any potential bias the source suggests can creep in during that very first step.
The document lays out 4 key reasons for us to be skeptical. First, just the act of choosing what to measure. Well, that's a choice, and that choice can bring bias with it. Then you've got the potential for political pressure, to kind of massage the numbers to look a little better. There's also the fact that data can be old news by the time we see it. And finally, and this is a big one, the actual methods, the formulas used to calculate these things, can be adjusted, maybe to help support a certain story.
So, that's the theory. But how does this actually play out in the real world? Well, the document's first major case study dives headfirst into the very debated topic of immigration statistics.
And boom, here the document presents this just dramatic contrast. On one side, you have the official government estimates that we hear about all the time. And on the other, a drastically higher number that the source says comes from independent researchers. This huge gap, this is really the core of the document's first big claim.
So, you have to ask, why the huge difference? Well, the source argues that the official method is fundamentally broken because it relies on people's self-reporting, a population that, let's be real, has some pretty strong reasons to stay hidden. The argument is that this isn't just a small mistake, it's a huge structural undercount that's just built into the system.
All right, next, the document moves on to a topic that I think hits pretty much everyone's wallet: inflation, and specifically the official numbers we use to measure it.
The source zeroes in on this conflict that a lot of people feel in their gut. On one hand, you have the official Consumer Price Index, the CPI, which is the government's main way of measuring inflation. But on the other hand, you have the cold, hard reality of your grocery bill. The document asks a pretty simple question. Why do these two things feel so totally different?
This table breaks down the specific tactics the document claims are used to keep that official CPI number looking low. For example, substitution. That means if the price of steak gets too high, the formula might just swap it out for cheaper ground beef. The source also talks about hedonics, where, let's say, a new phone costs more, but that increase is explained away as a quality improvement. The main argument here is that these aren't just errors. They are deliberate, methodological choices that directly impact that final inflation number we all see.
So, after making these arguments, the document kind of shifts gears. It moves from just analyzing stats to painting a pretty grim picture for the future.
The source argues these statistical issues don't just exist in a vacuum. They can set off a chain reaction, almost like dominoes falling. They can lead to strained social safety nets, overloaded infrastructure, and this deep, growing resentment from the public. But ultimately, the document claims, what this all chips away at is the most important thing a government has: the trust of its people.
And this is the document's most severe warning. It connects the dots from what might seem like a small statistical issue all the way to a potential systemic failure, arguing that a government that can't be trusted with its numbers, well, eventually, it can't be trusted with anything at all.
So after painting such a bleak picture, where does that leave us? Well, the document doesn't just offer up a new set of correct numbers. Instead, it proposes a completely new way of thinking about them.
It lays out this 6-step guide for navigating what it calls statistical deception. It encourages all of us to diversify our sources, look beyond the official stats. It tells us to always check the methodology behind a number and, importantly, to trust our own lived experience. The core message is really a call to action, to shift from being passive consumers of data to being active, critical investigators.
And so the document leaves us with this final, really powerful question. It's a challenge to all of us. The next time you see a statistic in a headline, the source is urging you not just to accept it, but to stop and ask, who did the counting, how did they count, and what might they have left out? Because the true cost of just taking a number at face value, it might be a lot higher than we think.